2015, an elite DFS Army Commando unit formed to bring high-level DFS strategy to the masses. Today, hated by DFS sharks and lineup sellers alike, they continue their quest to turn Joe into DFS pros.
Welcome to the Taco Tuesday PGA DFS podcast presented to you by DFSArmy.com. Come check us out today using the link in the description and get ready to dominate alongside us at the PGA Championship. We cover every single daily fantasy sport, and over the last week we've had several $100,000 winners, including last week at the WGC Bridgestone. Member that's been with us for years, Oyster Dude. He won the pressure putt for $100,000. Some life-changing money right there. So big shout out to Oyster Dude there. Keep on killing it. We had another $100,000 winner just the other day in baseball. We're slaying it, and we want to continue slaying it. So come join us at DFSArmy.com. Use promo code TACO on sign up for a lifetime 10% off. We've got the NFL coming up very shortly. It's right around the corner. We're already in preseason, so you want to make sure that you get in there and just get the all-inclusive package. I mean, we cover tennis, MMA, you name it. We cover it, all for one low price. DFSArmy.com, promo code TACO. All right, on to the PGA Championship. This year's venue, we're going to go back to a place that we haven't played on tour since 2008. Bellarive Country Club, which is located in Town & Country, Missouri. It's a 7,400 yard par 70, and exactly the same as last week. Last week we were also at a 7,400 yard par 70. You can kind of see the similarities in the two courses a little bit there, both in the Midwest, both very, very, very long par 70s, the longest on tour for the year, and really, really, really deep bunkers. So the story with Bellarive Country Club here, just going to start it off by giving you an idea of the score just based on the Vegas cut line projection. They also have a projection for the total number of players under par at the end of the event. Now I'll kind of give you a quick idea of what Vegas sees the field scoring. The cut line's looking like +1. Sort of what Vegas is looking at here, and it definitely leans towards even. Right now the even or lower prop has an implied probability percentage of 43.6%. Again, 1 is just 31.9%, and 2 or higher, 24.4%. It's going to be a tougher course, obviously, with it being so long, and the fairways, if you miss them, it's very penal. These fairways are great. They're absolutely great if you hit on them. We're actually using a grass type that's unique to the PGA Tour. We haven't been to a course where we hit off of these fairways. They're called Zenith Zoysia grass fairways. And golfers really like to hit them because of the way the ball sits up on the grass. So you definitely want to hit the fairways here. And the rough is, again, like I said, it's quite penal. It's been a long time since we've played on this course, so it's hard to know, but we've got boots on the ground chop there at the course tomorrow. Gonna see what's going on with the course there. It was raining today, so that should help out a lot of the players. Another thing about this course, the short game is gonna kind of matter a lot more than we really even thought about using it all season long. We're usually not looking at things like putting and around the green stats, but this course is known for having gigantic greens, like humongous, like Oakmont Country Club sized huge greens, just humongous greens, and the fairway bunker shots, or pardon me, the greenside bunker shots are all kind of set up to be really, really long. You've got tons of green to work with, so It creates a lot of unique shots that you're not going to see very often on tour. And this is kind of a week where you look to some stats that you never look to at other courses. Focusing on strokes gained at greenside bunkers. That's going to be kind of important because those bunkers they're nasty and they're protecting most of these greens. And I could stand on top of myself and I wouldn't be able to see over some of these bunkers. And we saw some very similar bunkers at the PGA Championship, or not the PGA Championship. That's this week, of course. The World Golf Championship last week. I did attend Thursday. I got to see everybody except Justin Rose, of course. He withdrew, but finally got to see Henrik Stenson. He looked a little juiced up. Had some bandages on his elbow. Got himself the juice, some cortisone or something. I'm all about that. But yeah, the course, if it's gonna play like that course is, and on Thursday that course had gotten a little wet and the greens were quite soft. Maybe we'll see. We could see some scoring from the guys on Thursday, and with a lot of your shorter hitters in play, just with them being extremely safe. And I don't think I even got to finish what I was gonna say earlier about the Vegas odds here for the number of players under par at the end. Right now, the over 28 odds are 40%, right at 28, 31%, and over 28, 28%. And, we've been coming from some courses like, the Canadian Open that guys are tearing it up, and the cut was well under par. Now, with the cut most likely being over par here, and only that handful of golfers even making it under par. It's going to be a more difficult tournament, probably top 10 overall for the year, but on the lower side of that, not like an incredibly hard course like an Augusta or like the Shinnecock. But if there's a chance also the weather could pick up or something later on in the week. Things look perfectly fine right now. There's always that the chance that something could go on. Some of these pin placements are going to be really brutal. Just a lot of things to look forward to. A lot of unknowns with it being a course that we haven't played since 2008. Go back there real quick to the 2008 BMW Championship. Camilo Villegas won that one by a couple strokes. He went 15 under par. And this is a couple of years after the redesign of this course. This course was originally designed by Robert Trent Jones, and then his son redesigned the course in 2006. And we'll also be playing this course differently than the usual members of this country club do. They play it at a par 71, that's 7,547 yards. The 141 slope rating. That's going to factor in pretty big. And a lot of the slopes are just well placed. They see a lot of undulation on the greens. The greenside areas are going to be just ridiculous this week with the PGA setup. They didn't take very good care of the grass, apparently, and it got fried. So they're painting the fringe to try to make it TV friendly. They got some rain in today, and you'll have to see how it plays tomorrow. Probably going to end up being easy for everyone tomorrow, and then get back to being around tournament level come Thursday. So I wouldn't get too excited about it being a birdie fest. I don't think that's going to happen here. As for the hole types on here, we're looking at long par 3s, long par 4s, long par 5s. All the scoring is going to be done on those long par 5s, but you really have to get through the long par 6s here. The one that plays is a par 5 usually. That one's well over 500 yards. You've got some really tough par 3s, the long ones. You've got the iconic hole number, number 6, 213 yard par 3 over water into a giant green. And depending on the pin placement, that giant green turns into a very small amount of green to work with if you want to be aggressive, and a very large area of the green to lay up on if you don't want to be aggressive and you're perfectly okay with getting a par. And as I go through the list here, I'm going to try to point out guys who I see as really good lag putters. That's going to be important here with the crazy greens in play. You're going to have guys hitting like 100-foot putts and be in real trouble with 3 putting. But, putting's a fickle little stat. I'm really mainly into strokes gained off the tee, leaning towards accuracy. Despite the distance, accuracy is going to be extremely important here. You want to gain the strokes off the tee. You want that just total driving, overall skill with the driver in hand, so you can set up your approach shot. I guess strokes gained approach just kind of by default is maybe, I don't know, as far as it's still always the most important stat to look to week to week, but I guess its importance with the huge green size here is kind of minimized. But you do really, really want to avoid all those greenside bunkers. They're really nasty. So, weighing strokes gained off the tee and strokes gained approach about even this week. I mean, the off the tee work's huge compared to other courses. But the approach shots, obviously, it's always nice. You really don't want to play guys that aren't striking the ball well. Crappy proximity going on, because they'll find the water. They'll find the water on a few of these holes. There's hole 3 actually. Earlier I was saying that the hole number 6 is the iconic hole. That's a pretty darn good one, but we've got a few par 3s over water. The par 3 148 yard hole number 3 there. It's gonna be a really, really easy course, or an easy hole to play, but just that giant body of water, it's gonna make it interesting. So at least the par 3s aren't terribly boring here to track. You got some winding rivers. You see that in hole number 8, and you hit over them. Hole number 9, more water in play near the green on hole number 11. So I don't know if you necessarily want to look too hard at double bogey avoidance, but I will want to kind of default to some of these safer kind of plays here. It's a major. I took the adjusted field rank stat, and I applied that to only the events that we've played at so far with strong overall fields. I run the strength of field for every event kind of automatically, so I just set it to only grab it from the ones with really packed fields. Your majors, Sawgrass, the Memorial, like Arnold Palmer, I guess, is a pretty strong field as well. I think that one just barely missed the cut there, but your bigger fields, your WGC events like you had last week, where there's a concentrated core of the best players in the world, the Masters. I mean, it's hard to compare this course to Carnoustie or Shinnecock, Augusta, but the poise you need at a major, obviously, it's gonna be huge. It's not like I don't know. You see a lot of young players doing well. Like you saw Thorburn Olesen do darn well last week, but they kind of strike out of nowhere for the most part. We'll have a few guys that are they're making their debut here. Personally, I think if you're gonna make your debut at a major somewhere, you definitely want to do it at the PGA Championship. You're already on the PGA Tour. You're already acclimated to the nature of the PGA and their setups. It's not too different of an experience usually. The U.S. Open, they set that up to be incredibly hard. British Open obviously is overseas. Augusta just has, the Augusta pressure on it. It's such a special place. I like the rotating course setup that they have here at the PGA Championship and the U.S. Open. I kind of don't like it, because it doesn't really give me much to work with going to a new course, but it does represent a new challenge, and it's fun to break down these courses that we've never gone to before, and I know we'll have several of those next year with the new additions to the PGA Tour. But enough about the course. Let's get into the field here. I'm going to be giving 9,000 and up, the really important plays up here. I'll talk about those with you guys, and then the VIP members can do a deep dive into Scrubland. Dustin Johnson up top, Just came off of a killer victory at the Canadian Open. It was not shabby last week at the World Golf Championship. Just had one hell of a Sunday. It was almost disappointing by his standards, but he definitely pulled through. The dude's a monster. I know at the Open Championship he dropped the ball, but in America, the guy is a top 20 machine. That's all he does is get top 20s. In America so far this year. And that's over 14 events. The guy is nuts. Several wins already. He started the season off by getting the first win of the year at the Tournament of Champions. But one thing I wanted to point out about the RS, the research station this week, Vegas is doing us some big favors with all the extra props. I noticed Bet365 added some really clutch round 1, top 5, top 10, and top 20 odds. Those are great. So what I do, take those, adjust for the rake, and believe me when I say you don't want to bet winners in golf out there with the rakes I'm seeing here. Like with some of the American books, the amount of rake on betting a winner compared to top 20 is over twice the rake. It is ridiculous, if you have access to like Paddy Power or something, they have some top 30 and top 40 odds we're looking at for just for the overall event here. And those are pretty nice, and the rake there is acceptable. I know we just kind of sort of legalized sports betting here, but we're not entirely there yet. We've Canada and Europe's obviously had a big head start there, and Paddy Power, they're the ones that just bought FanDuel, so sure we'll be getting more acclimated into the sports betting side of things. And DFSArmy.com has a separate sportsbook group that they're starting up, a product that will it's been really awesome so far. Everyone's getting it for free. You can still come check out all the sportsbook content for free until I think it's next month. The month after that, it's gonna become its own product. But from what we've seen so far, we've seen some guys just going crazy with the betting, hitting some nice parlays and stuff. And our models are really good for WNBA, baseball, football coming up. We've got some really quality models, some sharp minds on there, so you definitely want to come check that out. For now, we're using, we're saying thank you very much to the books here for giving us the extra props. And my favorite prop of all, this is what I'm going to look to the most here, and definitely in cash games. Probably a popular strategy if you've ran across these, but they have make the cut odds. Man, wouldn't that be great if they had those every week? I would love Vegas so much for that. You've got top 5, 10, 20, 30, 40. So I've run the percentages, the range of outcomes pretty much for each of these guys, what their implied probability of hitting each, getting at each range there. And obviously up top, getting back to the field here, Dustin Johnson coming in at a 75% implied cut make percentage, 2% higher than Rory and Justin Thomas, who would come runner up in this field in make the cut props there. We're already seeing a little bit of, I've already got some of the drifts up. People are betting constantly on the major championship. It's not like a normal week where you kind of have to wait a few days for things to move. Guys are moving around a little bit here, and I'll let you know who those guys are here coming up real soon. But let's focus on Dustin Johnson here. I gotta fawn over him a little bit more. Every single category. I kind of always mention this about him, but just positive in every single strokes gained category. And come on, it's DJ. We kind of know the drill by now. 7% implied win probability. Again, Thomas second closest there at the 4.4%. 24% top 5% implied probability, 38% top 10. No one in the field's close. He's only $400 more than Rory. Rory and Spieth, really questionably priced on DraftKings. FanDuel especially, they're even closer to DJ, and he's going to be more chalky over there. But Dustin Johnson, he's going to be chalky in the 20s in ownership for sure. I don't know if he'll push towards 30 because you've got a few other guys in the 10 and 9K range here that are very, very enticing alongside him, but he's definitely the best play over $10,000. That is certain. And on FanDuel, his value is even more amplified. 9-1 to win in this field, which is crazy considering just how all the best golfers in the world are here right now. DJ had to fight to get his number one spot back, and it looks like that could be in trouble again with Justin Thomas, pulling out that huge win last week. But still, DJ, no one's been close to him so far this year when it comes to production, outside of Justin Rose, and then Rose is still kind of a wait and see sort of play. I'll talk about him in a little bit, but DJ, just no weaknesses really. Really good long putting numbers. And really, it's just been putting consistently good all year long. One of the most consistent on tour. Not exactly like Jason Day level, but right about there. And then the tee to green game, of course, is ridiculous. Driving average, almost 60%. Adjusted driving average. So that's pretty darn good for freaking a guy that hits 317 yards off of the tee. 73% of his greens are regulation, getting 38.7 fantasy points per game to the field. It's DJ, chalky. Play him if you like him. If you don't like him, think he's a stupid cokehead, just fade him. I don't know. Just not a ton of analysis to be made with Dustin Johnson here. He rates out pretty darn well in all the hole types you're looking for. Doesn't rate out number one in the projected course score like he sort of usually does. He does like those shorter par fives. He crushes those. Long par fives, I think he can definitely still eagle. And he can eagle some of the 600-yard par fives that a lot of people aren't going to be reaching into. He's one of those guys. Rory's also one of them guys. But at the same time, he could also just do what he did at the Open Championship and just get wrecked. That's always a probability with everybody. Shoot, there's a 25% chance that he doesn't make the cut. But of everyone in this field, he costs the most for a reason. I don't know what I'm going to do with him personally yet. I haven't really decided. I don't like playing Dustin Johnson in cash. I usually just like him for GPP because he just racks up fantasy points. Just always getting eagles and stuff, like Phil, except for without the part where he sucks sometimes, a lot of the time. Yeah, I don't know why I just had to go and hate on Phil right there. Sorry, Phil. Sorry, man. You just had a great commercial, so apologies to Phil Mickelson there. Anyway, Rory McIlroy second on the board on both sites. $11,000 on DraftKings, $12,300 on FanDuel. Just not going to come as a big value play. Does have a couple of wins here in 2012 and in 2014. Of course, on different courses, but you do see a lot of guys have continual success year after year here. There are just some guys that are just great at majors, Day, Fowler, Koepka especially. But, you've got to figure that you're starting to see those guys that play golf 4 times a year for the Millie Maker, those guys are all coming out, and they've seen all the guys who have done well at the majors do well at the majors, and pretty much skip them elsewhere outside of looking at the game log. So, it's one of those things. You want to identify players that have been killing it at the majors, like Tony Finau, for example, is top 10 every single major so far this year. Xander Schauffele also just huge in the majors, but they're gonna. I don't know about Xander, I guess, because he didn't do well last week. But Finau, you got to figure, got to be the most popular play on the board outside of maybe a DJ, Rose, Thomas. Probably Thomas is the main competition there for highest owned player. And, I don't see how you can extract much leverage on that unless you just go all in on it or something. And it's kind of a dumb move to just go super heavy on these high owned guys. Anyone could miss the cut here. DJ was looking invincible, and Carnoustie put him back in his place there. Any of these guys could just hit it airily into the water on these par threes. So you should expect a little bit of a shakedown here from the top to the bottom. We'll have to see which way the odds kind of flip, especially tomorrow as the weather comes. Sometimes you see the entire top of the field shift down or up depending on how much variance is kind of expected at this course. And I think it'll be high, but not crazy high. The weather's supposed to be pretty darn mild. Really beautiful out, honestly. At least where I'm at. And Missouri's kind of far away, but it's looking pretty good for a good, kind of hot, but still good PGA Championship. As long as they can keep that course together. We just skip the next play, honestly. Jordan Spieth. He was so bad last week, and just, oh man, it's 4 bad performances in his last 5. Almost won the Open Championship, and that was only 3 good rounds. That last round was really bad. He'd kind of given up. I'm looking for the redeeming factors with him, everyone else just carries more value around him. Maybe not Tiger, but Ricky. Actually, Tiger definitely does. Spieth's just overpriced on both sites because he is who he is. If this was the Masters, then yeah, I'd play Spieth here. Even in this form. He's done decently at the PGA Championship, had the runner-up in 2015, but I can't really play that recent form for such a huge price. That's a large investment to make on a guy who lost strokes pretty badly off the tee and approach and around the green. Just tee to green was a nightmare last week, and it's been that way for a few weeks in a row now. Over his last 5, he's losing strokes approach around the green, almost losing strokes off the tee. But it's like he forgot how to putt, so he sacrificed his tee to green game to remember how to putt again, and that might be even worse. So I have little to no interest in Jordan Spieth, and I don't think the field will either. I think he's going to be 5 or 6% owned, very low. Could he win? Sure. I mean, he's Jordan Spieth, but can only say that about a guy for so long. Without kind of seeing it, we just haven't seen that dominant Spieth yet. I'm sure he'll get it together, but we see it from all the big golfers. Stenson, Casey, Rose, you name it. Everyone has a bad year. Everyone has to change up their clubs a little bit or get rid of some yips. So Spieth, just get through whatever you're getting through. I'm gonna avoid you until you show signs of life. I think a lot of people would be with me there. And then Tiger Woods, 31st, the WGC last week. Just a middling performance after a good start. Not a good weekend at all for him. He's one of the biggest backwards drifters so far. Started off at 23-1, down to 25-1, and that's including the public money that's on Tiger. Vegas seems to be quite bullish, not bullish, very bearish on Tiger Woods here. And I'm so excited to talk about Tiger Woods here. I forgot to talk about Ricky Fowler, but I'm gonna finish talking about Tiger. So I saw him last week, looking swaggy as hell. He was off to a great round, I was posted on 17 for a good amount of the time, and we heard Webb Simpson's hole out, one of his many hole outs there at the last running of the Firestone Country Club. And Tiger, when his crowd is massive. I saw it at the Wells Fargo too, but it's just so impressive to see 5,000 dudes following this guy around. I couldn't imagine seeing him at the Phoenix Open or something where it's crazy, but he would tap in for birdie, and those roars are louder than the roar for 170-yard hole out for Webb Simpson. And I think it's really healthy for the sport that Tiger's healthy. He hasn't had he hasn't gotten into drama or anything yet, and his he lost strokes tee to green just all last week, which not good. You don't want to see that, obviously. Most of that was on the weekend, but Tiger, he could bounce back anytime. Seems to be just really good at making cuts so far this year. And that's something that he couldn't even get together for the last few years. Just like Tiger to keep plodding along. He's getting older, so the upside's kind of limited. I don't know about using him very much this week. Last week he was 20+% owned. In most things. I think he had to go up to in the $44 contest he was 19%. Still just incredibly over owned. You had to go all the way up to the big clubhouses or whatever to country club. I don't know, whatever the the big wigs play up there, like the $5,000 contest or whatever. Even then, they played Tiger like a 14% rate. Now, granted, that was at a course that he had won at 8 times before, and he did very well at the other course, Torrey Pines, that he won at 8 different times, including a major there. So, I could definitely see why people played Tiger last week. This week, it just seems like a time not to use Tiger on both sites. He was a value play on FanDuel last week. This week, coming overpriced, just under Justin Thomas on FanDuel, and more expensive than Justin Thomas on DraftKings. So we'll see the lowest Tiger ownership in a major that we've seen. I don't know how much of a difference the major and the big contest and the Millionaire Maker will bring the public in with Tiger here, but you usually see it all the time, especially in your lower stakes. Like the free contest will always have or actually, no, that's something I noticed last time, actually. Usually the free contest has like 30% Tiger. I think it was the Open Championship, where he was kind of low owned, even in like the lowest of stakes, where you assume most of the public would be. I think I don't know, maybe the novelty is kind of wearing off a little bit, and people are just kind of used to being there. But even if you take Tiger's name away from him and look at the stats here, just been really good all season. 83% made cut percentage, 78% adjusted field rank, hitting at 306, 58% driving accuracy. That he's, you see that number climb up throughout the entire year. He's just slowly kind of getting it together. He needs to keep it on the fairway, just really needs to here. But in GPP, I'll have some shares. Gaining fantasy points and birdies and all that. I mean, just don't like his last performance. All those lost strokes tee to green. I walked over Ricky Fowler here. The adoring public, they love their mans, Mr. Ricky, pretty Ricky, and he kind of had the Zonder, the Finau narrative about him a few years ago. I think it was 2014, where he top 5'd in all the majors. I don't feel like looking that up right now, to be honest. I know it's true. It's either that or like all top 10s. I'm pretty sure it was all top 5s, but he still never won a major. Could argue he's the best golfer without a major, and you'd be right, but I'd still argue Matt Kuchar just because I'd want to do that. Ricky, great play last week. Really hit for us last week. Till the end there, really faded away. He was chilling top 3 most of the week. With Tiger, he just had a bad Sunday. Sunday sucked, honestly, last week. But yeah, Ricky Fowler, he's going to be high owned just because of who he is. And, I mean, Justin Thomas. Let's just talk about Justin Thomas here. You can do whatever you want with Ricky Fowler. Justin Thomas at $9,700, coming off of a huge victory, won by several strokes. And it's all due to an eighth of an inch, apparently. Read an article that was on the Golf Channel's website that was clearly made up by some AI. Just a random old video, and what it said basically was the Titleist, the manufacturer of his clubs, sponsor and all that, they just shaved like an eighth of an inch off his shaft, and he was on record Sunday as saying that something just clicked with his driver. He had been hitting he had been like towing the ball or something, like he just wasn't having a good time with his driver out there, just hitting, looking at the last 5, off the tee, suspiciously low numbers for Justin Thomas. But now with I don't know if it's like a magical change. I really don't want to subscribe to that like super quickly, but nonetheless, this is a great value play. He's 14-1, Tiger's 23-1, Fowler and Spieth like 20-1. So he really should be third on the board here on both sides. At least FanDuel has him over Fowler and Tiger, but still he's gonna pop up he's gonna be one of the highest owned plays, like I had said. You can just see it from the implied probabilities tab. I mean, he just sticks out with as being one of the cheaper good value plays here. Won last week, won this event last year at Quail Hollow. Should remember that. Gosh. Yeah, and that that was a course where the rough wasn't really penal at all. But if you think back to that PGA Championship, they let the grass grow big. They made they slammed the greens apparently, and they made the stimp was like 13.5, something crazy. Completely different course than the one he did just okay at earlier in the season. When I decided to load up on him, but I forgive you, Justin. I forgive you too, Fleetwood. You really ruined me that week, but nonetheless, Justin Thomas gonna be chalk, probably the good chalk kind. I mean, most chalk is good chalk because they're chalky for a reason. This is just kind of a mispricing here. Justin Thomas, the number 2 golfer in the world, trying to get back to being the number 1 golfer in the world, and you can kind of see it coming last week. Just no cut. Justin Thomas just loves no cut events. He's the opposite of Jason Duffner. We're kind of getting a little long here before we're even in the $9,000 range. So just looking at the rest of this range here, you've got Koepka, who's going to be swept under the rug here a little bit, I guess. Outside of that that narrative, he has a ridiculous history in the majors. He had a bad performance at the Open Championship, only finished 39th. I think that was like his second or third finish that wasn't like a top 25 or something in his 4 or 5 year career of golfing on the PGA Tour. Like his record at the strong courses just really, really good. And thing about Brooks, he has the same issue that Justin Thomas has here. And it's something I was curious about because these guys, they're aggressive putters. You can tell, DJ, Rory, and Fowler. You look at their numbers; they're towards the bottom, bottom half of the league in 25 plus yards putts made, but they are all within the top 30-40 of the entire tour and 3 putts avoided in that range. And you see this a lot. You see guys are either incredibly low on one end or incredibly low on the other, with it being kind of vice versa. Like, look at this. Look at Jason Day. He is the ultimate lag putter. How do you know? He is damn near last on the PGA Tour in 25 plus yards putts made. If you don't know what lag putting is, I'll explain it to you. It's just it's what I always do because I know that I suck at putting, and I suck at putting really bad. I just wish I could just hit approach shots all game long. That would be my favorite way to play golf. Sounds like Top Golf. I should go do some Top Golf. I just need to build one near me. Anyway, here, Jason Day, he's 8th on tour in 3-putt avoidance, 25 plus yard putts, and again, almost dead last in 25 plus yard putt convert percentage. Now there is a guy that Sergio here, he's dead last in both. You just do not want to mess with Sergio. Holy crap, why is he even still priced in the 8Ks? It's kind of nuts here, but just something to look at with all these guys. If you do see someone, I can't stress this enough, you see somebody with a stat that really sticks out, just remember to look on the right side of the research station here and just look at the events played. Just make sure it's not like 1 or 2 events played, because then come on, obviously that's why. You can't force these guys to play a bunch of events. I wish they could all play every week. That'd be some very consistent data, but nonetheless, I'm starting to ramble on a little bit here. Got to finish up the public version of this pod. The studs. We haven't even gotten to my favorite ones yet. Justin Rose. If you don't know anything about the withdrawal from the WGC Bridgestone event last week, it's a weird case. I was kind of going back and forth in my head about this. On one hand, that's free money, Go up there and just hit it once. So he cited back spasms as a reason for his withdrawal from the WGC Firestone. But he didn't show up. You figure if you have like a back spasm or something, you do what Daniel Berger did and just hit a stroke and then take your paycheck. Now, I know that Rose is probably rich as frick at this point, but so the withdrawal is kind of hanging over him, and if it weren't for that, he would be the number one value play on the board by far. I still very much might be, honestly. We really want to see how he does on Wednesday. If he looks like Henrik Stenson did on his Pro-Am day before the major when he had his concerns. Back spasms, I mean, I've had a few. I'm sure that you might have had a few in your life. They kind of come and go, you know. Really, if you're going to make up an injury just to take a week off or focus or something, yeah, that's when you cite. That's like very, very mild. So with Rose, who knows? We'll see if he's faking it or not tomorrow. On FanDuel, you don't really need to play him anyways because he's priced correctly. But on DraftKings, even with the withdrawal concern, you know, you're still playing him in tournaments and stuff. It's just, it's freaking cash because you almost need to play Rose at this rate. Like, he has like 5 straight top 10s on tour. Perfect made cut percentage, 100%. In 14 events played. I mean, come on. I know a lot of guys have been on better streaks and done worse, but you could go farther back into the swing season and all that, and Rose was crushing it even more. Like his 2018 year, just ridiculous. But you know, with the injury concern hanging over him, all you can do is really either just fade him overall and say screw that ownership and hope something happens to him. He does a little with his back, but you probably just want to play him. I don't know about in cash. It's very, you know, if we can confirm he's fine, then play that boy in cash. Get you some Justin Rose at 9,400, just a ridiculous price there. And then everybody's favorite, long-haired, mustachioed man, Tommy Fleetwood, just killing it, man, just killing it. All top 15 finishes in his last 5 events on the PGA Tour. Just, yeah, and he had that miscut at the Wells Fargo, like I mentioned earlier. But I forgive him. Before that, just nothing but made cuts and good finishes on the year. Just destroys it off the tee, greens of regulation. You know, we saw him put up those ridiculous numbers on the European Tour. Didn't really think he could parlay that into America, but boy, has he. You know, you talk about total driving. It was kind of important last week, and it's going to be important again this week, and he crushed last week. If it wasn't for a poor Sunday and Saturday, just kind of an overall poor weekend. You know, he was in first on, I think it was Saturday. He was in first for a little while. I mean, the dude is competing. I think he, you know, if Molinari can win a major, Tommy Fleetwood definitely can win a major. He's going to be popular. I don't know about pushing 20%. He usually kind of does, but he's got Rose and Molinari right there. So with Fleetwood, I like him in GPP a lot, and I would probably also play him in cash. On FanDuel, he's priced too well. But on DraftKings, yeah, 9.3. Good pivot off of Rose. And you've got Molinari there at 9,200. Do you think a 39th place finish at the WGC event will get people off of a guy that was this close? One Thunder Dick away from having 4 wins over the last, 2 months. It's insane. And the runner-up at the John Deere just to boot. I think he also had a runner-up in the European Tour as well. Let's just say the guy's hot fire. Started the week at 27-1, right? I was at 28-1, kind of going a little bit backwards. I think people are kind of noticing that this, I mean, for me, it seems like a great course for him. Yeah, he's hitting over 300 yards, 66% driving accuracy, 70% adjusted greens regulation percentage. Doesn't really rack up fantasy scoring, but I do see that he does. He's an aggressive putter, similar to Brooks, like I'd mentioned. Just not a lag putter, quite the opposite. His 3-putt avoidance on long putts, almost near the bottom of the entire field. Actually, that is the case for both Koepka. Well, not both, but Koepka, Rose, Fleetwood, Molinari, and Rahm. They all suck at this. And Rahm sucks at everything putting. Oh my god. Anything long putting he's just really bad at. You know, Rahm's not someone I'm really targeting. But for Molinari, obviously he's gained the most strokes approach over the last 5 events of everybody because duh. I mean, he's just been destroying. And even last week, off the tee numbers were just average, but still gaining strokes approach because that's just what he does. Not a great putter, but you've seen what he can do if he gets an okay putter rolling. So he's gotten up in price to the point where he's ahead of Jon Rahm, and that doesn't even feel right. But he also projects out higher than Jon Rahm just because of what that dude's been doing. But yeah, Molinari, not a cash game play like usual. He did finish runner-up last year at Quail Hollow. I guess it's a good thing, a lot better than Fleetwood. Fleetwood also, if you want to consider the fade there, I know course history. It's really event history because to go to course history, you'd have to go all the way back to 2008, and you don't want to do that. But yeah, he's sucked in all three of his PGA championship events. But we've seen him do poorly at other majors too, and then the next year just kill it like it was nothing. Different course and all that. So we're headed to the last play here at $9,000, and that's Jason Day. And he's going to be such an important factor this week. One of the highest owned players. I don't know if he'll reach JT, but he'll probably reach DJ in ownership. I don't know about Rose too. Rose and Thomas and Finau. Those are probably your top three. Jason Day's got to be right there. We haven't really seen the ownership pour in on him. We kind of really haven't over the last few years. Now, obviously, he's the best putter on tour. I think a couple of years ago he had a ridiculous putting season, but it's always kind of been his bread and butter. 4 top 10 finishes in his last 5 starts at this event. 15th also in 2013 or 2014. So he's looking like he has some of the best event history here, and the price is very low. I mean, he had a really good week last week. Hasn't really been, contending for wins. I know he was contending for a win most of last weekend, but you see him with a lot of top 20s. That 10th place finish last week. He's not like winning tournaments like he was a couple of years ago, but he's definitely headed in the right direction. If you're telling me around the green and putting matters more than usual, then just give me Jason Day, because that's what he's been doing. And he's struggled approach. The approach game, he's been bad. Over the last 5 events, he's lost a quarter of a stroke approaching the green, and that's including last week where he gained well over a stroke approaching the green. I like where that's kind of headed there. Do not like the low driving accuracy percentage. But when you play a bomber like that, you got to kind of know what you're getting into. I wouldn't play him in cash almost because of that. I know the event history and even the odds value does kind of make Jason Day seem like a cash play. I would definitely hold out on him for a GPP. He's aggressive. The lag putting is very nice for cash, and we're going to want to find guys who are really good with that. But, Jace, I'm sure Jason Day will do fine, honestly. It's just, the driving accuracy percentage. If the rough's going to be as bad, anywhere near as bad as you think it's going to be, Jason Day could, he could be soaring but find himself in a rough patch. Definitely a very good showdown play. And now that I mention that, actually, just got to remind you, head over to that showdown tab. You'll see I added the implied probabilities percentages for it, and it's so cool for round 1. Usually round 1 is lame. But having the round by round props and all that, it's something we've never seen before. I've personally never seen it before. I think it was Bet365 that added all this. Had some just some extra goodie props. I hope they continue it. I just really want them to have that make the cut prop every single week. That would be just lovely. But to get into this deep dive, guys, you got to come check me out at DFSArmy.com. Promo code TACO on sign up. Go there. I like going to DFSArmy.com/tools to begin. You can see exactly what we're going to be working with here. And you get a lifetime membership at DFSArmy.com. Thinking they're raising the prices because, they're jerks like that. I'm not controlling any of that stuff, but you want to get down here before, you want to get signed up before the NFL season for sure. just an excellent value. But you want to lock in that value for the rest of your time with the Army. We'd be glad to have you, unless you're a jerk, But I'm sure you're listening to this. You're having a good day on it'd probably be Wednesday, kind of a late Taco Tuesday podcast here. But I just had to do the deep dive this week. I really had to. It's been fun so far. But yeah, DFSArmy.com. Use that link in the description. Use promo code TACO. Help support this pod out, guys. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the DFS Army podcast. Join the DFS Army today and gain access to our private Slack chat, where you can chat with real DFS pros and coaches, as well as other DFS Army members with winning track records. Also included in your membership is access to our premium articles, DFS Army weighted projections for every sport we offer, from NFL to MMA, weekly player picks and cheat sheets, the strategy vault of timeless concepts, and the DFS Army Domination Station, a truly state-of-the-art lineup optimizer, offering your personal projections or ours. The DFS Army membership is the best value across the industry. Join today and get 2 free ebooks, as well as the secrets to unlocking a new level to your game.